approaching Preacher, about 6'6", 6'8". Probably like what, 290, 300 pounds, solid.
Picture the scene. Prince rolls up on Preacher with his crew, trying to run the same intimidation game that had worked for him on the streets. He's demanding to see paperwork, trying to force Preacher to check in like he's some kind of snitch. This was Prince's standard move. Use his supreme team reputation and crew backing to establish dominance over other inmates. But Preacher wasn't impressed by none of that organizational stuff. Here's Prince, maybe 5'10" and 200 pounds, trying to punk a 6'7", 300-pound giant who had been terrorizing New York since before Prince was even in the game. The size difference was obvious, but the real problem was that Prince was operating completely outside his element.
That didn't go too well, because once again, Preacher's not your average individual. Preacher, regardless of what, they say he made a deal, but he lied and they ripped up the agreement. But you thought that you was powerful enough, or you had enough manpower, you know what I'm saying, to go against somebody like Preacher. Guess what? You're probably smarter than him, but you don't got the to take him out.
When Prince's intimidation tactics failed completely, word spread through the prison like wildfire. The legendary Supreme Team Enforcer had just been punked by one man who didn't need a crew, didn't need territory, didn't need nothing but his own reputation for violence. This wasn't just a personal loss for Prince. It was a symbolic crushing of everything the Supreme Team represented. And Prince didn't learn his lesson. According to Gibbs, he kept trying to run his mouth and flex on people who weren't having it, including some Brooklyn cats who damn near killed him for his troubles.
What happened with Solomon? They tore you up. Almost.
This is what happens when your whole identity is built on organizational power instead of personal capacity for violence. Prince had been the Supreme Team's enforcer, but he was enforcing on behalf of a structure. Preacher was different. He was a savage, ruthless instinct who had never needed anybody else to back up his threats. When you stripped away the crew support and territorial advantages, Prince was just another inmate trying to punch above his weight class. The fact that the Supreme Team's top enforcer got handled like that by one man sent shockwaves through the entire criminal underworld. It proved that no matter how organized you were, no matter how much territory you controlled, no matter how feared your crew was, there was still one man who could reduce all of that to nothing just by showing up. Now this next story is going to mess you up because it shows just how deep Preacher's evil could go. We're talking about the abduction and murder of Donald Porter, Rich Porter's little brother. But here's the part that'll really make you sick. This wasn't done by some rival crew or unknown enemies. This crime was set up by Rich's own uncle, a grimy dude named Johnny Apple Porter who was willing to destroy his own family for money. Apple had been watching Rich's success with pure jealousy and resentment. While his nephew was getting rich, driving luxury cars, and commanding respect throughout Harlem, Apple was stuck doing small-time hustles and depending on handouts. So this snake came up with a plan that would make him rich quick, abduct his own nephew's little brother, and demand ransom money. According to Ozzy Faison, who knew all the players in this situation, Preacher was actually disgusted when he found out Apple was willing to target his own blood. Even a monster like Preacher had some boundaries when it came to family betrayal. But once the plan was in motion, his organization was going to see it through to the end, regardless of his personal feelings about Apple's character. On December 5th, 1989, 12-year-old Donald Porter left his apartment and started walking to school like he did every morning. He never made it to class. The boy was snatched just 4 blocks from home by Preacher's crew and disappeared into a nightmare that would traumatize his family forever. The abductors initially demanded $500,000 from Rich, then lowered it to $350,000 when the family said they couldn't get that much cash together quickly. But when the family still couldn't pay fast enough, these animals decided to escalate their tactics to prove they were serious about collecting their money.